Hey, it's Rich, the Louisiana Hobby Guy, and today we are in the laser lab and we're doing a very simple project today, and hopefully this simple project will give you a few tips and tricks along the way in Lightburn, which is what this channel is all about. So today I have looked at some of the comments on my last video asking for suggestions, and if you look down below, I'll put a link in the description to that video if you want to watch it. But that was asking the viewers for suggestions on what to do. And I've had a couple of suggestions that have come up more than once, repeatedly. So they were, how do you make a wavy text was one of them. And the other one was incorporating the Pledge of Allegiance into a project. So today I've got this project to show you. So I've incorporated the Pledge of Allegiance into the American flag, completely designed from scratch. And in here, you'll also see that I've done tried to be a little creative with the text and the fills and the line after fill and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to show you all of that right here today. This was actually a request from a patron, and one of my patrons asked me if I could duplicate a file that he found on Etsy. So let's jump over into Lightburn and let's take a look at what I did in Lightburn in order to make this file and make it really quickly, easily, and with a few extra functions. Let's go. Okay, so here is the file that my patron asked me to replicate. This is from Etsy. I'm not going to put up the seller's name or anything, but if you see, this flag is a trace. If you take a look at these stars, none of them are really stars. They're all different shapes. They obviously traced that from somewhere, and this is more than likely, if you look at the pixelation on here, you'll see that this is more than likely a trace as well. And this could have been traced from another program or whatever the case may be. So we'll put this one off to the side. We'll duplicate this. So let's grab this and put it off to the side. And now I'm not stealing anyone's intellectual property. So if you're one of those people that likes to comment that, hey, you can't steal someone else's work, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to replicate it and use this as a reference point and do it a little bit differently. So the first thing that I've done, if you look at my grid here, first off, I've put it into inches right here, from millimeters to inches. And I've gone into my gear icon up here, the settings. And in here, I've changed my visual grid spacing to 1 inch. And that's 25.4 millimeters. So if you were to switch over to millimeters, you'll see it's 25.4, in case you're overseas and you don't use our system. But that's what I've got these boxes here set at. And this is going to be important to make the flag, because this flag is not to proportion, and I want my flag to be to proportion. So the first thing I'm going to do is just draw out a rectangle and then select it. I'm going to put that onto a toolpath, either T1 or T2, makes no difference. And then I'm going to come up here and put this into inches, and we're going to put in for the width 5, and for the height we're going to put 3. So I just did 5, tab 3, enter. And now I can lock it over here. So if we were to take this and bring it over to here, you'll see that this is not in proportion. So I'm going to shrink it down from the corner. And there we go. So that's pretty close. So you can see that's not in proportion, those stars. So what we're going to do is just going to bring this back to the 3x5. And this is the area that I want to work in, this 3x5 to make my stars. So I'm going to grab this by the corner right here, and I'm going to snap it into one of the corners right here. So that's the area that we need to work in. Now we need to make 6 stars across, and we need to make 5 down, 5 rows of 6. and we need to have 4 rows of 5 in order to do all of the states. So I'm going to resize this to a bigger size, but I just want to make sure that the stars stay in proportion. Now let's make a star. So that's the next step. So I'm going to come to the polygon tool over here on the left side. Polygon. I'm going to click on that, and I'm just going to hold shift and draw out a constrained polygon like you see right there. Now I'm going to press escape on my keyboard, and that selects it. I actually clicked off of it by mistake. I pressed escape twice. And we're going to come over here to the shape properties tab on the right hand side in Lightburn. Now if you don't see this shape properties tab over here, you just right click on this title bar right up here and put a check mark in shape properties right here. If you don't see it, you probably don't have that check mark, so just click on it to put the check mark in there. So now we're going to come to shape properties, and we're going to change this from 6 to 5. So now we have 5 sides instead of 6. Now with this selected, I'm just going to come up to the top here. I'm going to mirror it right here. So there we go. But one of the things that's important is that you have this toolbar here. This is the arrange long toolbar, as compared to if I were to right click on this white space up here and put the arrange toolbar up there. Now you see we have the arrange toolbar. Can you see the difference? There are a lot more tools on this arrange long that are important for doing this job. So you want to right click on the top and get rid of the arrange by just clicking on it. And you want to have this arrange long up here. This is always good to have because there's a lot more functions here that we're going to use. So now what is the purpose of this polygon, you're asking? Well, we need to make a star. So what we're going to do, let me zoom on this so you can see it better. I'm going to come over here to the pencil tool in the top left corner, and I'm going to put it right at one of the corners. And I usually start from the top. See how it turns into like a bullseye? So I'm just going to click where the bullseye is, and then I'm going to go to each corner. When it turns into a bullseye, I'm going to click again. And then when you get to the final corner, when you click for the last time, it goes away. That bullseye is gone now. You don't have to right click to get off the pencil tool. So let's come back to the selector tool over here, and let's select just this outer shape. By dragging from the right to the left, I will select anything that it touches, which is that outer shape, and we can delete it. And we now have our star, and this is a perfect star. Only thing we need to do here is get rid of these center pieces. So let's go to the offset tool over here on the left, and let's click on that, and let's offset this by 0. So the offset distance is going to be 0. Well, none of these really matter here, but we only want outer shapes. Okay, so outer shapes only, and say OK. Now that offset looks like nothing happened, but that offset is automatically selected, as you see, and we can drag it off, and now we can delete the template. We have our perfect star. Now to get this into proportion, I want it to fit in one of these squares, one of these 1-inch squares. I'm going to unlock the aspect ratio here. I'm going to change this to 1 and press tab and press 1, and now we have a perfect star, and it's already selected. So we can now take this star and bring it right over here and put it right into that box that you see here. This box here is exactly 1 inch. So let's get this lined up inside our box. I'm going to say right about there looks good. And actually I'm just going to scale this down just a little bit so that it fits perfectly inside that box. Here's the reason for the outer box. I want to skip one box for each star. So skip this one, put one here, skip this one, put one here, and we need to have 6 stars going across. So let's go ahead and select this star, and now we're going to come down over here and we're going to click on the array tool. So in the array tool, I want the X columns to be 6. So I'll change this to 6. And as you can see, they're not lining up in those boxes. I'm going to come over here to X spacing. And I'm going to start lowering the X spacing until they fit inside those boxes, which is every 2 inches. See? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is our flag. I'm going to say OK to that. And now I can change the aspect ratio here on this flag while maintaining it just by dragging this in from the bottom right corner. And there we have the perfect aspect ratio for the stars. Now the next thing I'm going to do is ungroup these. And I'm going to grab one. I'm going to press Control and the letter D to duplicate it. And then with my arrow keys, I'm just going to move this over to the next box and get it lined up as perfectly as I can. And that looks pretty close. I'm going to say I can get it probably a little bit better like that. So there we go. That one's now ready, and we can move it down to the next space here. So now we've got our second one in there, and we want to do the same thing, coming back over here to the array tool, and we want to make the difference here. We want to make 5. So we're going to change 1 to 5, and everything else should remain the same. And I'm going to say OK. So now we have 6 and 5. And that's really all I wanted to use this box for right here, this framing tool. So I'm going to delete that, and we're going to be a little bit off with our aspect ratio. I'm going to select all of these now. I'm going to put these onto the black layer like that. And I'm going to press Control and the letter D to duplicate those. And with my arrow key, I'm going to move these down to the next box. I'm going to press Control and the letter D one more time. Move these down to the next box. Control and the letter D again. Move these down to the next box. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of 6, and we need 5. So I'm going to press Control and the letter D one more time. Bring this down to here. And now I can get rid of these. And there we have our perfect stars. And now it's not perfect because if I put that same 3 by 5 box in here, it only comes down to about here, but it's much better than we have there. Here is our basis for our stars. These are finished. I'm going to select them all by dragging from right to left over all of them and group them. And now I can actually shrink this down to a manageable point. And the difference now is we have perfect stars in a vector graphic. They're absolutely clean on the edges as compared to this graphic over here that was traced. So big difference there. Now the next thing we want to do is start adding the text. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and typed this out so I don't have to type. So I'm going to just paste in here the text, and I'm going to select it and get it off to the side a little bit, like right there. Now I want to put all of my text in place so that I can size it properly. And we're going to do I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, all to the right of these stars. So now I'll get the rest of it and I will paste it in here like that. And now with this selected, I can pull this down. Now we have everything that we need. And we just need to change the font and then scale it to fit in the size here. So again, I'm just going to draw another rectangle just to get an idea, put it on a toolpath, and we're going to set this to 5, tab 3, enter, and then scale it out down here so that we get an idea of what size the flag should be. And I'm thinking that that probably looks good right about there. So this is just a toolpath that we can work within. Let's take and move this up just a little bit up to the corner of the toolpath. And now we can start working with the letters here. Let's use a different font on this. So now I think a good font for this is going to be Impact. So if I come in here, you'll see I have this already in my favorites. So at the top is favorites and Impact. I think I'm going to use the font Impact. And we're going to do the same thing for these. We're going to put these into Impact like that. And I think that's a good font to use. And now we can actually just scale these out so that we fit within this area right here. And that looks pretty good. And the only thing else that we need to do here is to scale out the other lines of text here. And I should have done these one at a time. So let me get rid of these because they're all separate ones and do these one at a time instead, so that they are editable individually. So I'm going to put this one in here to the flag of the United States. I'm just going to copy and paste these over. It's easier for me to do this than to actually type this out. So it's a little quicker, I think, anyway. So there we have our separate lines of text. And let's go ahead and move these out of the way for now. And the only thing that I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to drag over all four of these, all four lines of text. And then I'm going to come up here to my advanced toolbar and I'm going to click on this and get those all lined up perfectly. Then there is another feature in this advanced toolbar that we can position them vertically on centers like that. And that puts the perfect spacing in between each of them. So now we've got our text to work with individually. Let's go ahead and hold Control and scale this out to the same size like that. Do this one, hold Control, or actually let's not hold Control, let's scale it out side to side. There we go. And maybe this one is a little too close over here. So I'm going to scale this one in. And this one I'm going to scale back out. And I'm just using this line down here as my guideline. And then the last one here, we're going to scale out this way and we're going to scale out this way. And there you see we've got everything scaled to size. Maybe what I'd want to do here is make the height a little bit smaller. I'm just going to move this around and get it in the right spot, and then just make the height a little bit smaller and the width a little bit larger like that. So there we go. We've got all of that scaled to proportion. Now all we have to do is put these three on the black layer like that, and we have our words. So what are we going to do at this point to get that sort of wavy look? I'm going to select one of the pieces of text here, and I'm going to go to Tools, and all the way at the bottom there is Deform Selection at 16 points. We're going to click on that. And what I want to do here is raise these four up. So I'm going to click on this and raise it up to about there, and then I'm going to do these proportionately, just the way they're spaced originally, just dragging them all up like that. And now I'm going to skip these, and I'm going to come to these. I'm going to do the same thing with these. I'm just going to drag this one up to about the same spot as this one, and just drag these others up proportionately. And this doesn't have to be, you know, exact science here. It just has to look like what we're looking for. So I did the first one, I skipped the second one, I did the third one, and now I'm pretty good. I think that looks pretty neat, but I want the right side to come up as well. So now I'm going to grab this one and bring this one up, bring these up, just to get a different sort of look going on here. And I don't know what you think about that. I think that looks pretty decent anyway. Maybe this part can come up a little bit more. So we'll go back to the deform selection one more time and get this G a little closer to where that is. So I'll just drag this up a little bit higher, drag this one up a little higher. You get the idea here. So I think that looks pretty good right there. Now we can take this and slowly move it down using the control key to right about there, and we have our first text done. Now all we're going to do is copy what we've done to that first one to the rest of them. So again, Tools, Deform Selection. And there you can see we've got our little wave going on, and you can, manipulate this in any way that you want in order to get the style of the flag that you want. I'm just doing this really quickly today so that you get an idea of how it's done. Now I'm going to move on and do the rest of them. And there we have it. As you can see, everything in here fits within this tool path because I've just resized it to fit. So I'm just going to get this down up to the top of the stars like that. And there we have our wavy flag. Now I could have spent more time and did more waves on it, but I just wanted to give you the basic overview on how to do this. So next what we're going to do is grab a rectangle over here on the rectangle tool, and we're going to reverse the direction of these stars. So I'm going to come to the corner, and you'll see that it turns into a bullseye in the corner, and I'm just going to drag over that until I get down to here. We'll adjust it in just a moment. And there we see that puts another layer behind it, and then I can grab the handles here and adjust it slightly, and I'm going to move this up slightly, and I'm just going to move this down slightly. This is my version of, or at least an instructional version of how to do this. Of course, you'd spend a lot more time on these waves, maybe 10 or 15 minutes to get them all right, do them all in the same proportion, but I think that looks pretty good. And it's more in proportion than this one over here is. The next thing that we can do, if you wanted to cut this out, is just to select that outer line and put that on another layer. We'll put that on the red layer. Make sure that that layer is in line, because if it's not in line, you're going to say, what the heck happened here? So this has to be in line mode, and this line will be what we use to cut this out. And then I would just adjust the size slightly on this to make it cut it out perfectly. And there you see we've got our pledge, our flag. It's just that easy. And remember, whenever you put something behind something else, it reverses its position. So if I were to take a square and put that on the same layer as this black over here, wherever I put this will reverse the position of the other letters. I know a lot of people ask, how do I make something not burn? So you see these letters would not burn if I had this on top of it. You can also do that if you wanted to, but I prefer doing it this way right here, and I did miss something right here. So let me select just this red. Another way that you can select the layer, instead of having to be careful when selecting it, you can hold down Shift and then just click on the layer over here, and that will select it. Now you see how my all is in just the wrong spot right there. There we go. That looks a lot better. And now I can go and burn this piece. Black layer on top, red layer on the bottom. You don't ever want your cut layer to be up there like that, because then it's going to cut first and engrave second by the list of priorities. So we're just going to move this one to the top. Black, red. We're ready to cut this graphic. We can get rid of this one now. We have a much better, much more proportional graphic here to burn. And like I said, you're going to spend more time on adjusting the letters. so that it looks more like a flag, but I just wanted to do this quickly for this demonstration. And there we are. Really, really simple project that anyone can do in a couple of minutes, and I think it came out pretty good. I think it's a nice take on the letters, and I'll show you how I did that in a moment. I'll share the settings. I don't know if I went over the settings or not in the Lightburn tutorial, but a lot of people like to see the settings. I don't typically share my settings, but there is one thing that I didn't discuss in the actual tutorial, and that was the grouping. Right, so I'm just going to cut in here for a minute because I did forget to show the settings, and I was using the Lasermatic 30. So here are my settings for this. The black layer, I set the fill at 17,500 millimeters per minute and the maximum power at 60%. And I have that in fill mode here, and my overscanning was 2.5% with a line interval of 0.113, which gives me 224 lines per inch. Then I did a line after fill at 6,000 millimeters per minute and 45% power. And then on the green layer, the offset fill, I did this one at the same speed, 17,500, but with a max power of 40, which was probably a little bit too high. I should have maybe set that to about 30 or less, 25 or 30. But I did that in offset fill. It came out okay anyway. There is no overscanning in offset fill, and the line interval I put at 125 lines per inch. And that probably could have been lowered to about 90 or 80, but it came out fine just the way it is. The line after fill, which a lot of people don't do on the offset fill, but I did to give it a different look. I did the same setting, 6,000 millimeters per minute and 45% power. So I forgot to put these settings in on the video, so I'm just going to cut in here for a moment, give you these settings. This is the Lasermatic in 30 watt mode. If you're interested in the Lasermatic, I'll have a link down below the video where you can follow that link and go to the Rolly Automation website and take a look at it for yourself. Let's jump over to Lightburn real quick and take a look here. So here you see I've got the flag, and when I take a preview of that, you can see that the stars are not going to burn. It just crosses right over them. However, in order to get that, what I did was I ungrouped these after I was finished designing. So right now they're ungrouped, and everything looks okay. But if I group these, let me show you what happens. So I'm going to drag over these and group them really quickly. In fact, you know what I'll do? I'll group half of them. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let's get that back to where it was. I'm just going to group a few of them like that and group them. And now I'll put this back over the top, and let's take a preview of that. And as you can see, if they're grouped, they're going to burn. So it's important that you ungroup these once you're done designing, and then put that black layer over the top. So there you can see it's going to burn all the way through. So yeah, that's one thing that I forgot right there, and all I'm going to do is come back up in here and ungroup these so I can put this template back the way I wanted. Hey, look, if you guys want this particular design, it is a very simple design, and that's the purpose of the channel. Easy projects where you can learn some tips along the way. I'll be glad to share this with you. So if you want this file right here that I just did, what I'll do is I'll put a link down in the description, and you can get a direct download and go ahead and run this off for yourself. One thing that you might want to do is spend more time on the wavy text because I did it, very quickly just for the purpose of this video. So, you can delete all of the text and then redo it yourself. and get the perfect wave going on. I didn't really focus too much on doing that. I just wanted to make the video, show you how it's done, and that's it. So I hope you enjoyed today's video on a simple, very simple project that you can incorporate into lots of other projects. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it for you. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.